Hi, my name is Estefania. How was I as a child growing up? Well, I wasn't born in this country, so growing up here was kind of difficult because of culture. And being in school, I had a lot of self-esteem issue, because me being the only black girl in my class, it kind of brought me up in especially my parents being pastor, I was brought completely different than what a lot of people were. I couldn't do some of the things a lot of the younger kids could do. I couldn't hang out, go to the movies like the other kids. I couldn't have friends over. So it kind of made me very sheltered and very self-conscious. I didn't have friends. Like, I had people that were cool with me, but then they were not cool with me because I was different. And I knew that difference back then kind of made me feel like I was not somebody important, but now my difference made me feel like I'm not like everybody else. Back then, I didn't understand what being different was. I knew that different was being special, but I couldn't understand it fully until I got older. Kid, growing up was extremely tough, especially since we were raised on a certain standard. We couldn't do what most kids could do. We couldn't celebrate, Valentine's Day when school celebrated. We couldn't do dress up in costumes when the rest of the kids could. We couldn't trick or treat. There's so much things that we couldn't do, and we were just only going to church every single day. That's what my dad had us do. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, straight down the line. Only day we didn't go to church was Saturday. Other than that, we were forced to go every single day. And it's tough because we didn't want anybody to know we were pastor kids when we were in school. We kept that a secret. We pretended like we were normal like everybody else, but inside of us, we knew we weren't normal. And when it got to middle school, that's when it was much more harder because I started seeing kids. When my dad would go to revivals, I would see some of my classmates at the revival, and when he would present the family, I didn't want to stand up. But, I had to, and that's when I started to get exposed as a pastor's kid. But I still kept it a secret, even though that happened. So, growing up as a pastor kid, it kind of separated us from everybody else. Yes, as a Christian, we are supposed to be separated, but as a kid, we didn't feel like a kid anymore. We felt like a thing. We felt like something not normal. We felt abnormal. Doing this, and I did the exact same thing Maria did, and I'm looked at differently than Maria. They probably let Maria go and be like, it's okay, child, it's okay, keep it moving. But because I'm a pastor kid, they will start calling me, oh, that's what she gets. She's a pastor kid. I'm not surprised. And as you get older into high school, college, that's when they start thinking, especially as a pastor daughter, that you're loose, that you do whatever it is, you're out there. You're not really that pastor daughter has a reserved type of person, that you're more loose than the world is. When in actuality, sometimes, a lot of the time it is. Because we want to prove to ourselves in the world that we're normal like everybody else. When inside of us, we know we're not. We're in a family with a calling. We're in a family that's not like every other family. And sometimes that makes us feel, because of our family calling, that we're being fake. We're trying so hard to make other people happy, to fit in a society that doesn't want us to fit in. So being a pastor kid growing up was not easy. I can honestly say I didn't like it, and I don't think any pastor kid, they can say they love being a pastor kid. My relationship with my parents and siblings. My parents, it wasn't so great. Growing up, because they were pastors and first ladies, they wanted us to represent what they are. And I resented them at one point for being a pastor and first lady. I resented them for making us act a certain way just to fit their title. They were tough, strict, and I see now why they were, but back then growing up, our relationship was so strained. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't have a relationship with my dad where I could feel like I could talk to him. Growing up, you watch all these TV sitcoms, Moesha, you watch, Full House, where the girls and their dad or the girls and their mom, they have this kind, even Seventh Heaven, where they have a relationship. They can talk to their parents about anything. Of course, in the Haitian society, and being the firstborn and a girl, it was hard for me to have that type of relationship with my dad because he was more focused on ministry rather than family. It was hard for me to go to him about boys because, especially in the Haitian culture, you can't go to your parents about boys at 12, 13, 14. They'll look at you sideways. It was hard for me to go to my mom about it because she'll just brush it off or tell you boys aren't good or you shouldn't be thinking about boys. But it's hard because that's all you see around you is boys. And you see how on TV these relationships are portrayed with their parents are so close, and these girls are talking to their parents about anything. They're listening, and that's what you want. And you're not getting that. Of course, it shows some type of, it kind of gives you a resentment towards your parents. And the relationship is getting strained. I don't remember ever having like a heart-to-heart felt with my parents. Not until I was about to get married with my mother. But other than that, it was all, I felt something scripted. Something just to feed my mind and then brush it under the rug. But that's not what I needed. As a girl, you need more than that. You just don't need to feel, okay, boys aren't good, sex aren't good, don't do this, don't do that. You needed more than that. You needed a sit down. You needed the realness. I needed the realness. I needed my mom to tell me how she was her age. Whether she was loose or not, to let me know. Because I'm dealing with some stuff, I can't go to my mom about it. I have to go to my friends or go to myself or go online or go on TV and see how it's being handled. I couldn't go to an older parent that is right there every day because they're more focused on their calling rather than the ministry that's at home. That's a pretty tricky question. Now, at one point, I wasn't involved at my church at all. I was just, because again, being a pastor's daughter and a pastor's kid, growing up was not easy. It was really tough. And then, I was not the ideal pastor's kid. So I wasn't into anything in the church. My brothers and I, we didn't care about being in the church program or helping out youth or anything. We didn't care. We just wanted to live our normal teenage life. It's up until when we got older, that's when we surrendered all to God. We realized, you know what? We want to make a difference in somebody's life because we realize how it's not just pastors' kids that are suffering. Yes, we are going through something just a little bit more, but it's just youth in general are dealing with something somehow, and we've dealt with it. And the fact that if we stand back and don't become some type of leader in our community, then that will harm our youth for tomorrow. They don't have anybody to look up to. Their coming to the church, it's like our relationship at home. They don't have anybody to talk to, and we didn't have anybody to talk to at home. We don't want that to trickle into our youth in the church. So we want to be that leadership example where, okay, we expose ourselves, we're open. You here, come to us. We went through that. We went through this. So when I was younger, no, I wasn't involved. But as I got older and God opened my eyes, I decided to surrender everything to God. That's when I realized I can't just keep this all inside because I know there's somebody somewhere out there is going through the exact same thing I'm going through. My advice is it's never too late. With God, there's no such thing as too late. You could be 30s, 40s. God's timing is the perfect timing. It wasn't your time in your 20s, but it's your time in your 30s or in your 40s. It wasn't my time back then for me to, now I'm married, happily married. I'm about to have a baby on the way. And it wasn't my time when I was in my 20s and my 19s. God had really had to put me aside. I went through a lot of different relationships where I shouldn't have been because I was rushing time. I was rushing God, but it wasn't my time then. And I realized God just tried to shape me and mold me from these different relationships so that I can be in the relationship that I am right now. If I went too soon, I would not have been the woman that I am for my husband. All my past prior relationships were either abusive, physically, verbally abusive. It was not healthy for me. It strayed me away from God. It it took me away from myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had standards, and my standards were blown away by these different random relationships that I should not have been in. And then that's when I surrendered it all to God, and I said, God, until it's your time, I am not going to move forward with anybody else. I'm going to focus on myself, and then I'm going to focus on you. But of course, first and foremost, it's on you, and you can work on me. But I'm not going to worry about rushing into a relationship or rushing to be with somebody. Because of my past, I wanted to be loved by somebody. And love was something hard for me to get at home. It was hard for me to get from my mom, my dad, my brothers, or even family members. So I was seeking it the wrong places, the wrong time. With these guys that said or I thought loved me, they didn't, with sex and all of that. I was seeking it the wrong way that God did not want me to do it. And finally, I put that all to the side and I said, God, I'm tired. I'm done with this. I need you to just work on me and do what you have to do with me.